Donkey Kong Country Returns was actually the first game I've played. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. It certainly wasn't the first video game I've ever played. I'm sure that Mario Kart 64 gets the first game Tobliigo has ever played in his life, and nothing can change that award. Anyway, Donkey Kong Country Returns was the first game I've played in the Donkey Kong Country series. Sorry if I offended any longtime fans of the series so hard it made them want to become Hulk and smash me to death. The reason for this is because I never really got into this series until I watched E3 2010 and it looked like a great platformer. Or maybe I was just being lazy. Who knows? The game was developed by Retro Studios. You know, that one developer which completely revolutionized the Metroid franchise by transforming it into 3D with the Metroid Prime games much like Mario 64 and Zelda Ocarina of Time did. No big deal. Okay, I'm finished blabbering. Let's get started with the review. The story of this game starts out with a big volcano erupting, causing meteors of little tiki enemies to invade Donkey Kong's island. Well, it's not really his island, but I just have no idea what to call it or what it's called. The tiki dudes then start to hypnotize all the animals on the island, forcing them to steal the Kong's bananas. Diddy and Donkey get really angry, and suddenly another bad guy comes into their hut who tries to hypnotize Donkey Kong. Donkey is so ticked that he forgets about everything that doesn't have to do with violence or bananas. I didn't make that part up, it's a true story, just trust me. Since he hasn't forgotten about violence yet, he gives the Tiki Man a beating where you simulate the motion of repeatedly thrusting your fist into someone's stomach, causing them to fall straight out of their hut. Nice job, Nintendo, on staying true to the E rating this game got. Now your goal now is to get your bananas back, so, I don't know, maybe it's because they like bananas or something. And that's just about as far as the story goes. It's kind of expected though, since it is a 2D side-scroller. Donkey Kong Country Returns is set up using the same level system Mario has been using since Mario 3. It's divided into 8 different worlds with many different levels inside of them. After you complete a level, you advance to the next, eventually run into a boss fight, find secret paths, etc., etc. Donkey Kong has its traditional jumping functions as well as other moves like rolling and clinging onto walls. Rolling not only causes Donkey Kong to kill enemies in a different way than jumping, but also grants him a boost so he can jump further and faster. Clinging allows Donkey Kong to grab onto certain areas, mainly on the walls and the ceiling, and rotate around them until you let go. Even if you get touched by an enemy, you still keep holding on, which I liked. Donkey Kong can pick up barrels which contain Diddy Kong. That's kinda strange. When Donkey Kong throws these barrels, Diddy Kong gets to ride on your back, granting you some of his abilities. You can hover in the air with his jetpack, as well as do an infinite roll, unlike Donkey's roll, which only lasts about a second. Each level has 4 scattered Kong letters in it, as well as a certain number of puzzle pieces. The Kong letters are usually easier to collect than the puzzle pieces, but they're never as satisfying as collecting them. You don't have to collect these letters and puzzle pieces, but you will need to collect every single one of them in order to 100% the game. You also may or may not be rewarded for collecting them. One thing I have to point out is that there are tons of bananas in this game. Why are Donkey and Diddy searching for the precious bananas found at the beginning of the game? Are they some sort of special bananas that save the world or something? They look no different than any other bananas found in this completely illogical game. There are also banana coins which you can obtain in certain ways, such as jumping on 3 or more enemies without touching the ground in the process. These coins can be used to buy things from Cranky Kong's shop, such as lives and magical invincible juice. Rambi the Rhino also makes a return. When you ride him, you're basically invincible unless you touch some sort of unique enemy or fall into a bottomless pit. He also runs faster than Donkey and Diddy combined. He's only in certain levels and you can't take him with you to other levels, unlike Yoshi in Super Mario World, but all of that makes sense. There are many bonus stages hidden inside a lot of levels. When you complete these stages, you will be awarded with a puzzle piece and a catchy jingle. Plus, they're a good way to earn some extra bananas, coins, and lives. There's also a multiplayer mode where one person plays as Donkey Kong and one person plays as Diddy. I thought this was very fun, even though my brother kept stealing my lives a bunch of times. The level design of this game is fantastic. Each level is full of Kong letters and puzzle pieces, which I talked about earlier, and I've experienced no levels that felt rushed or unfinished. Most of the levels were on foot, but some had you flying out of barrels, riding a cart, or even riding in some rockety flying thing that I'm sure you can find in your everyday jungle. The rocket levels reminded me of some of Crash Orange's levels. I'm sure most of you have absolutely no idea of what that game is at all. That's the reason I like them so much. The controls of this game worked almost perfectly. Now you can play using the Wiimote alone or using the Wiimote and nunchucks simultaneously. I chose the latter because I like analog sticks better than directional pads, but I'm sure many people will think the opposite, and that's fine with me. I've heard a lot of problems people had using the waggle function of the Wiimote, and I can partly agree. You see, I had almost no problems waggling my Wiimote to do a roll, but when I had to bang on the ground, that was a different story. To do this, I had to repeatedly flail both the Wiimote and nunchuck up and down. Now I can see how the developers were trying to make it realistic, but it was a pain just waggling my controllers up and down. And come on, you're playing as a freaking ape. Why would you need to make it realistic? I guess this gave me another reason to hold the Wii Remote sideways, but I'm still staying with the nunchuck. But everything else, such as the button placements, worked fine. The graphics of this game are great for the Wii. Everything fits well with the Donkey Kong universe as well. The animations were great, and the game was very bright and colorful. However, the visuals didn't look as good as I would have thought coming from Retro Studios, who fulfilled the graphical potential that the Wii and GameCube had to offer with the Metroid Prime games. All in all, the graphics are great, but they could have been slightly better. The music in this game is spectacular. It included many remixed as well as original tracks to listen to. Now I can't tell which one's which because I haven't played any of the original DKC games, but I'll say that a good majority of the tracks were very memorable and fun to listen to. The sound effects were great too, and some of them were arguably as memorable as Mario's jumping sound effect, like when you jump on an enemy. Donkey Kong Country Returns is certainly a game worth playing. The level designs, graphics, controls for the most part, and music were all great. Even though the controls can get slightly painful sometimes, and the graphics weren't meeting their full potential, it's definitely a game worth checking out. The game is quite challenging and it lasts quite a long time, which gives you a few other reasons to check this game out. You can pick this game up for around $30, and I think that this game is definitely worth every penny of that price. Donkey Kong Country Returns gets a 9.5 out of 10.